Hi there. In today's video, we're going to replace the convertible top on this 97 Cobra. Something came up and hit that back window and just shattered it. And unfortunately, you can't just replace the window. It's old enough it needs a top anyway, but that's what we're going to do today, and we're going to get started right now. All right, we're going to pop the trunk. We need to get this molding piece off first. I'm going to give you a list of tools that we're going to need first, and then we'll start working on it. Okay, to start with, we're going to need an assortment of bits. There's Torx and Phillips that we'll need. A trim remover to pop out some push pins and such. A razor blade, a drill, and that'll get us started. You also want to use stainless steel staples. You do not want to use regular steel staples because they'll rust. We're using a couple different sizes. This is 3/8, that's for the back side where the tack strip is in the rear of the car. And we're going to use a little shorter one, either a 5/16 or a 1/4 inch, just when we get up into the front of the car. First thing we need to do is remove this back trim piece. This one happens to be Phillips head. A lot of them are Torx. So you got to kind of look at what you have. All right, we got to start over here. The way this works, this goes inside of here and then inside the other side. So we got to start over here and pop this out. Just got to kind of hit it and knock it out. See how it's moving. All right, so that's out. Then it just kind of pulls the other way. Just gonna have to kind of hit it on that side over there. Just like that. Now we'll just have to kind of ease it out so we don't hurt anything, like so. So that's out of the way. Next thing we need to do is get these side pieces just kind of undone. There's a little screw that's down in here that we need to lower the top to get to. Let me give you a little better perspective here. Down inside here, there's a little screw down in here we need to undo. All right, so we're gonna take these little header screws out first. These are Torx. They're T15s on this one. Again, it's a 97 Cobra Mustang. Yours might be different. They all seem to have different sizes. We did a GT that we had, and it was they were Torx also, but they were a little bit bigger than that. Normally we'd put the top all the way down, but we really don't want that glass all over the place. So we're going to be real careful not to get glass everywhere. These are T20s that are just on the side with this little rubber molding deal. So we'll get those out next. All right, now we got to take these out, which just be real careful. And just kind of pull them out real slow so we don't rip up. Just like that. These can only go back one way, which is kind of cool. That way we don't screw them up. Underneath that window molding, there's some T20 Torx. And we're just going to take the first two out and just leave it. We may not even need to take them out at all, but we'll see how that works. For now, we'll just do those two on both sides. Next thing, we got a whole bunch of staples we got to take out on the front here. This is more of an upholstery job than anything, which you'll see. He's going to start on that side, and I'm going to spare you us doing that because it's going to be tedious. But anyway, these will all come out, and then we'll come back in and show you the rest. All right, so we undid the staples for the top piece here, and also for the headliner that was underneath of it, because we're replacing that also. All right, next thing. These little gaskets. Weather stripping, actually. Have to pull out, just real careful. Don't tear them any more than they already are. And then there's some more Torx down in here. Those are also T20s, so we'll take those out next. Okay, now that those are out, this has to come out. Just pulls out, and that exposes the material that's down in here that we got to take off. And that you just grab and pull up. Alright, while we're in this section, we're going to pop these out. There's little push pins that are tied to the headliner. This is just a trim remover. They're not reusable when you get them anyway, so they'll probably break. But there's 3 of those on each side. Now that this is exposed, there's a spring and a cable that needs to come off. There's a little tab that you pry up here, and then you have to pull on this to get it off, but it comes off like so. And there's also another little tab right there that you need to pry up on just to get that cable up out of the way. Once you get that out of the way, then you can pull that cable up and out, and then we'll have to get the cable out of the top itself.
Go.
All right, since that's out, then we just need to pull this out of the top. Pull it out. We can do that on the other side also. And that part of the top is undone. All right, to get to the next bow, there's a little T20 Torx right there that the headliner is attached to. He's going to take that out now. And one of those. All right, for now we're just going to cut these little straps, and then there's a screw in there we have to undo to put the new one in, just to get this old thing out of the way so we can get to these and start getting that headliner apart. There's one of those on each side. When you're doing that, you gotta be real careful not to cut this webbing. That's been covered its whole life and normally reusable unless somebody cut the top or something. Next thing, we got some T20 Torx here. Those have to come out. And that'll drop that headliner down, and also that centerpiece will come apart like so. Okay, so next thing, we have another T20 Torx that's holding that part of the headliner. He's going to take that out. Again, there's one on each side. Alright, we're going to put the top forward for a sec. We need to mess with this back end now. Alright, so down in here, there is a spring that attaches to a grommet. I don't know if you can see that, but right here. So we need to get this out of here. Actually, it's undone. We can probably just cut that and then pull it out. Either way, they just have to come out, and there's a cable right here. All it does is just hold the top down. All right, so where we're not reusing this top, I'm just going to cut all along the edge of it just to get it out. There's a bar that's in here that we need to take out, but we'll show you that afterwards, that the top attaches to. There's a bunch of staples we got to take off. I'll show you that here in a sec. Anyway, I'm going to cut that right now. All right, so generally you pop this off with the staples and whatnot, but where that glass is all destroyed, we're just going to cut this and then take the staples out. As you can see, the window's just right there. See what I mean? There's staples all across the top of here. Usually you undo it, flip the top the other way, and all that good stuff, but this is just as easy. And that way, you can get to the next level, which is the actual window curtain here that we're keeping. These webbings don't go any farther than just right here, so they're just not, it's just not necessary. You can see it's brittle enough it just comes apart anyway. That way it doesn't fall. Good. We're gonna cut a slit there so he can get his hand back in here, and then he can hold it so that glass doesn't fall, because that whole, once that's released, that whole thing is gonna just fall in.
You want me to cut that too?
Yeah. All right, he's undoing the back side of the headliner. Those are T20 also. While he's doing that, I'm going to start digging out the staples, because there's a lot of staples. All right, so now we're taking the wheel well liner down. There's these little tab things, and this just kind of pops over top of it, like so. So that, he's gonna get those out. And then there's a little bolt where the headliner attaches to the back rail. And we'll get that out of there also. Okay, next we're gonna get this bar out. Those are 13 millimeter. You need a 12-point socket. Alright, there's 4 little clips underneath here that need to come out. Kind of hard to get off, but that's what they look like right there. Okay, excuse the vacuum noise, he's cleaning that out. Here's the bar that comes out of the back of it. I need to get all these staples out of here. So I'm going to go ahead and rip those out, and then I'll come back in and show you what you don't want to take off. Alright, last part of the headliner we need to get out once he gets out from underneath the headliner. There he is. Oh my god. There's a couple of, there's some bolts along the bottom here, and those are also T20. So he's going to take those out, and then the headliner's out. Okay, we're putting the headliner back in. That's our first step. He's starting with the middle bow first. There's 5 T20 screws. He's gonna do the ends next, and then fill in the center. So there's these little straps right here. There's a string that you pull out. They're attached to each other, goes through the headliner. There's one here, and there's another one that attaches up here. Anyway, we already put those in on both sides. There is also another strap, which is down in here. Those are a T20 Torx. Here, you can't even see that. There you go. These are a T20 Torx also. They're kind of hard to get to. You have to take a 1/4-inch wrench to use the bit, and then kind of just, it's really tight in there. Anyway, we did that off camera, but I did want to tell you about that. Okay, he's putting the kind of center front part of the headliner in. The very front is glued and stapled and all that good stuff. We're just doing all the easier stuff first. That's how you have to do it. You have to go kind of center out type thing when you put it in. Reverse of how we took it apart. Again, these are T20 Torx. Getting ready to put the back part of the headliner in. There was a couple, like I say, these little strap things I showed you on the, you can't really see, but on the other side. I had to do both of those. And now we're just getting this back piece of the headliner put on. Do the center one first, and then the ends, and then go from there. Okay, so we are stapling along the bottom here. There's a line, real faint line, you can't really see it, the chalk that goes all the way across here. And that goes at the top of that tack strip rail. He's just about got all the staples in now. Kind of have to just kind of go through it as you go, kind of thing. And we've had to take a couple out and hit it a couple times, but so far so good. We'll come back in once we've got this tacked on there, and we're gonna put it up on the car. All right, so here's where we're at. We got the things cut out. We're holding it up with some clamps for the time being. It doesn't look good. It is dead center. We're just kind of looking at the wrinkle situation. Once that gets tightened up, I think we'll be golden. So all we need to do now for this back window is get this tight and staple all this across here. And then we can start moving on to the sides. So we're gonna get that tight, do that, and then we'll come back in. All right, so we stapled all this across here. Pretty happy with this. It's not bolted down in here all the way. We've only got 3 bolts holding it, and they're not tight. So once we pull this back, I think we'll lose this here. It's a little wrinkled a bit, but this is also going to shrink in the sun too and tighten up. But honestly, I think once it gets pulled back, it'll be tight as tight. So now we're going to remove this excess, cut a little bit of that off, and then drape the top over top of it. So it'll kind of hold it in place there. I'm just going to go down the sides here. Go ahead and pull it.
Hang on.
This sucks. You're going to pull pretty hard. Is that out yet? Being a piggy. Being a piggy. There we go. This will help us get it in the right spot. This is more of a test fit kind of thing than anything. All right, one rope down. It's just kind of probably end up taking this back off. I just want to get it in place, kind of thing. All right, so we just laid the top on there just to see how everything looks, make sure it fits right. He's taking out the bolts on the inside that we put in to hold up. And we have to staple this stuff on. Same thing, just along those little lines and on the tack strip. So he's taking those out and we're gonna tack it together, and really we're just about done. We do need to go get a couple of push pins for the headliner part before we glue any of this in, because that's got to go in there too. So far we're into this about 4 hours. Okay, so here's where we're at. We put the sides, stapled all that together. He's buttoning up the inside. I know this is a little loosey-goosey through here, but the top's not done up, as you can see. As soon as he gets that done up, it'll tighten up quite a bit. We did over here, and it did tighten this up, but we still have to pull that forward a little bit. I think it's looking really good. And besides that, our last one we did, all this, we had a couple of wrinkles. And just to show you how that one ended up after about a week or two, I'll walk out here and I'll show you. We happen to still have that car. Looked exactly like that one when we got done with it. And there's that car. But that's how it ended up. It took about 2 weeks for it to tighten up out in the sun. And yeah, it ended up really nice. But be honest, looked exactly like that other one. So once he gets that all tightened up, we'll start pulling a couple things forward and see how that ends up. Stop. think that will be okay, I think. Yeah. Okay. The sun's starting to get in our way, but I gotta get these little flaps pinned down, so we're gonna do that next. Okay, we're putting the back piece back. In here first, just like so. Pieces where the weather strip goes going back in now. Well, my camera died, but we kept kind of working on things. This is where we're at. We buttoned up those side pieces, did this front bow, and it's looking pretty good. Nice and tight. We got a little bit of a wrinkle right here, but I think that's once the sun hits it a little bit. The other one was that way. Had a little bit of the heat needed to take over, you know, where it expands and contracts and whatnot. The back window looks fantastic. Here's a shot here. Yeah, that looks really good. Like I say, there's a little bit of this here, but it's really just because it just needs to sit outside for a little bit and let Mother Nature kind of help us out a little bit. Looks pretty sharp. I do have a little bit more buttoning up to do here. I gotta go get some little clippies for the headliner for this little thing here. There's 3 of those. I'm gonna go get those really quick. There's also a couple of straps we need to finish. Looking at the headliner. That's good here. This is on the inside of the car. Like I say, looking at the headliner part, there's this here that needs to come forward and be put somewhere. That'll help with this here. But really, it looks pretty darn good. As you can see. And once we pull this back here, those 2 little strap pieces need to be put in. I'm going to do those right now. Okay, I'm in the back of the car. This needs to be attached to the back. So we need to drill a little hole in that tab there so we can put a screw in it. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then I'll come back in. I would be showing you more of me actually doing stuff if I could figure out how to hold this camera somewhere. All right, so that needs to go right there where that hole's at. So I'm going to attempt to hold this and do this at the same time. So we'll try it. Shoot. Anyway, that's where it goes. I'm gonna have to hold that and put it in. So there's that. Now we got to do the other side. Same thing. Drill a hole, very small hole in this little tab, and then put the screw in it. And that one goes right there. Now that side's done. Now we're gonna put our well liner back. And this just kind of snaps over top of these. All right, one thing I don't remember on the old headliner is this little tab thing here. But we're gonna put it right here to that screw, and we should be done with this little project. I did go through, I think I showed this, but we had to fold this over and staple it back like we did when we took it apart, and put these little T10 screws back in. I'll tell you what, they should not use T10 screws. That little T10 bit is not strong at all. I've gone through like 6 of them. Anyway, I'll quit complaining and put these together real quick. One down, one to go. All right, here's our final product. Top looks really good. I say final product. I can't find the dang right size for these trim pieces for the headliner, so I'm gonna have to get online and do that. But as far as the top goes, I think that looks pretty good. Like I say, once the heat gets to it, and that'll really fix all those little wrinklets here. It's already starting to feel it, just the heat and whatnot. But yeah, I think it looks really good. Anyway, that's our video for today. Thanks for watching.